Well, with more on the situation, we're now joined by the Mayor of Hamilton, Ontario, Andrea Horwath. Ms. Horwath, good to see you again. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. I just came in from shoveling the snow.
Well, the reality of a Canadian winter. Listen, I have to start here with Donald Trump. And of course, these steel tariffs that he announced. And when he did so, he essentially said that companies do have the choice of just moving to the United States, setting up shop there instead of maintaining operations here in Canada. Are you afraid that is what will happen with this tariff threat?
Well, I can tell you the Canadian companies that are here in Hamilton that I've spoken to thus far have no interest in moving to the United States. They want to continue to do business with the United States, but they're Canadians and they support our country. They support our workers. They support our economy. And the ones I've spoken to, not interested at all.
Mm-hmm. What impact economically would these tariffs have on Hamilton?
Well, there's just no doubt that even though our city has very successfully diversified our economy over the last number of years, we still have a significant steel industry here, both primary steel making as well as secondary processing. And people tend to know a lot about the, sorry for my screen moving a bit, the highly integrated auto sector, but the steel sector is no different. So steel products are going back and forth across the border several times to make various finished products and construction, etc. So at the end of the day, for us, we're talking upwards of 20,000 jobs just in steel overall, and over $1 billion in economic activity. So depending on where all this shakes down, it could be very, very, very painful for the city of Hamilton, but most importantly for those strong businesses and for those workers and for their families, and then of course the ripple effect on our local economy.
Mm-hmm. As you say, painful. Now, you did introduce a motion yesterday. It was adopted by Council. Essentially, it calls on both provincial and federal governments to prioritize Canadian steel in any upcoming procurement contract. To what degree would that offset the impact of a 25% tariff from the U.S.?
Well, I think that the problem is that we really don't. There's a lot of unanswered questions. This thing is still moving. It is still unsettling, and that's another part of the problem. If I do say so, I mean it's the uncertainty, the fact that every other day there seems to be yet another announcement or another threat. What President Trump needs to realize, and this is something that's been articulated a lot, but also reinforced by the people that I spoke to over the last couple of days in the industry, is it's going to hurt American workers as well. It is going to cause pain in the U.S. as well. And so, for us, the motion, we don't have a lot of levers at the municipal order of government, let's face it. But what that motion does is try to reach out to the other higher orders of government on everything from procuring local, both our own city doing that, but also asking the feds and the province to make sure they're using steel manufactured, processed, or manufactured in Hamilton, poured or manufactured. And also, we also have Sault Ste. Marie, and obviously in Ontario. So if there's another kind of product you can't get from Hamilton, let's look to our own producers. We've also asked for expediting of supply chains to be opened up across the country so that our steel can get to other municipalities for their capital works, can get to from one end of the country to another. We have a deep water port here in Hamilton that needs a customs office so that we can have a further reach abroad for our steel products from our own port. So there's lots of things that can be done, including, quite frankly, trying to help with the impact on workers, because if folks end up being laid off because of these tariffs, they shouldn't have to wait 2 weeks to get their EI. Again, there's lots of different solutions. That motion suggests that we call on the governments to do various things. It's not formalized yet because we haven't made those formal asks. We have to do some homework first. But Hamiltonians need to know that, and Canadians need to know that the Mayor of Hamilton is fighting like heck for our steel industry. It built this country literally, and we need to protect it.
And in addition to what you're talking about, you also have asked for both federal and Ontario governments to expedite the construction of a light rail line for Hamilton. How much of the future is going to rely on provincial and federal investments in communities if these tariffs actually become a reality?
Well, I think you've nailed something that's really important, and that was in that motion, which is stimulus. When things get tough economically, stimulus programs help. But in this instance, we have to target those stimulus programs to make sure that they actually shore up the parts of our economy that are going to be hurt the most.
Ms. Horwath, I always appreciate the time with you. Thank you for this.
My pleasure. Thank you.